many privileges that we earn by living in the United States. The privilege that we should value above all others is freedom. That is the message we can learn from the amazing life of two-time national champion and Hall of Fame hydroplane driver, Mira Slovak. Mira was born in the tiny farming town of Seafarer, Czechoslovakia on October 24, 1929. A few years later, his family moved east to Leopoldov, where his father operated a grain silo. Life in the beautiful town on the slow-moving Va River was idyllic. Food was plentiful, neighbors were friendly, and Mira had a peaceful childhood. That all changed in October of 1938, when Nazi Germany overran Czechoslovakia and replaced the democratically elected government with a fascist government controlled from Berlin. Life on the Slovak farm appeared to move ahead unchanged, but secretly, Mira's mother Maria was hiding two Jewish families in their basement. Maria's stern refusal to give in to principles that she did not believe in would have a huge impact on the course of young Mira's life. When World War II ended and Leopoldov was liberated by the Soviet Union's Red Guard, the beleaguered people of Czechoslovakia discovered that the cure was worse than the disease. The Red Guard brutally robbed, raped, and looted their way through Leopoldov. Young Mira's passion was flying, and more than anything, he wanted to be a pilot. When the opportunity to join the Czech Air Force opened up in 1947, Mira leaped at it. Mira excelled at flying, and he graduated from flight school near the top of his class. When his commanding officers told him he would have to join the Communist Party to be allowed to fly, Mira quickly signed the papers. He was going to fly no matter what. Life under the Communists quickly turned sour, as both the Czech Air Force and Czech National Airlines were gutted by government-ordered purges that saw countless officers disappear in the middle of the night at the hands of the secret police. When Mira could no longer tolerate life under the Communists, he formulated a daring plot to hijack a Czechoslovakian Airlines DC-3 and fly across the dreaded Iron Curtain to freedom in the West.
7:24 p.m., 4 minutes after leaving the ground, you've gained the prescribed altitude. You turn over the controls to your co-pilot and go back to the cabin. Now, back there, Helmut Schermach, you and your wife and the third conspiring passenger, a man who later chose to return to his home in Yugoslavia, were ready to act. Now, what happened next?
As we planned, so Mira came into the passenger cabin and invited us to see the cockpit. We took his invitation and went into front with him.
Right. Miro, what did the three of you do as soon as you got up there in the cockpit?
We had very unpleasant changing our feelings between the communists, and then we got a control of the airplane.
Yes, you forced them into a baggage compartment and a few things like that. By now, it's 7:31 p.m., 11 minutes after takeoff. You make final contact with Benešov, Czechoslovakia, radioing all is well. After which, Helmut, as a former airman himself, assumes the radio operator's and navigator's job. And then comes the next step in the plan. And what was that, Mrs. Chalmers?
Well, Mira put the plane in a shallow dive underneath below 1,000 feet, under the radar screen, and turned west.
A west turn in the darkness toward a brighter world.
He was able to bring a treasure trove of communist documents with him, and he received a hero's welcome when he landed in Frankfurt. Mira was quickly approached by the CIA and spent 2 productive years working for them. As a reward for his assistance, they sent him to Seattle, where he was taken under the protective wing of the Boeing family. When Bill Boeing Jr. decided to go hydroplane racing in 1956, Mira Slovak was selected to drive his Miss Wahoo hydroplane.
Well, I'm gonna write a little letter, I'm gonna mail it to my local DJ.
Mira found many similarities between flying and racing, and quickly emerged as a force to be reckoned with on the unlimited circuit. In July of 1957, Mira put the Wahoo in the winner's circle for the first time, winning the Mapes Mile High Gold Cup. Bill Boeing elected to take the 1958 season off to convert the Wahoo from Allison engines to the more powerful Rolls-Royce Merlin. Mira started the season without a permanent ride, but by the second race, Ole Bardal had the talented young driver behind the wheel of his Miss Bardal. Slovak responded by driving the Bardal to victories in Buffalo and Washington, D.C., and winning the 1958 National Championship. The Wahoo was back in the fleet in 1959, and Mira was back behind the wheel, winning 2 races, and earning an opportunity to go to the White House and meet President Eisenhower to personally thank the president for the assistance he had offered when Mira first came to the U.S.
Mira had not won too many races, but that '59 President's Cup was the one he wanted most. This was the one which gave him the opportunity to shake hands with President Eisenhower to say thanks for his new life in America.
Another highlight of 1959 was Mira's appearance with Ralph Edwards on the popular This Is Your Life TV show on NBC.
This is Your Life, a program for all Americans.
In that race, you set a new lap record of 113.45 miles an hour.
Yes, in that President's race, Mira and the boat took a tremendous leap out of the water, going airborne for some 300 or 400 feet. Mira never slowed up, kept going, and of course you know the results. Actually, Mira, anything he sets his mind to do, he accomplishes.
We know your help has greatly inspired Miro, too. Thank you, Bill Boeing of Seattle, Washington.
Mira Slovak does not want to finish second to Bill Muncy, and let's see if they can take him. This is a real boat race now on the backstretch. Look at him go in the chute.
The 1960 season was a rough one for Mira. It started with a controversial dispute in Chelan with his good friend Bill Muncy.
Oh, and they're going to come close, and Wahoo cut in front of Muncy. Oh, he cut in front of him, and now he's on the outside, and Wahoo has taken the lead, and Tripway has eaten water and may go dead.
And ended with the Wahoo rolling over at Seafarer, and Bill Boeing retiring from boat racing.
And running far behind is Colroy. And now there's been one of the boats has had something happen to it. Which one is it? It's Wahoo with Mira Slovak is in the drink. He has been thrown into the water and the race is being stopped before the completion of the first lap.
In 1961, Mira finally secured his coveted U.S. citizenship. In 1962, Mira restored a Czech Air Force Bucker Youngman and began perfecting an aerobatic routine.
Freedom flyer, refugee, a man who is looking for a home that's free. All closed in and he's got no place to do what he feels and say what he thinks. Lord, I'm looking, won't stop till I die.
Mira returned to hydroplane racing in 1963 in the cockpit of Milo and Glenn Stone's beautiful Miss Exide. The return was short-lived when the Exide crashed and was destroyed in only its second race. For 1964, Mira switched to air racing and flew Bill Stead's Smirnoff Bearcat to victory at the inaugural Reno Air Race, becoming the only man to win national championships in both unlimited air racing and unlimited hydroplane racing. 1966 found Mira driving Bill Harrah's beautiful Tahoe Miss. He won 4 races, including the Gold Cup, on his way to his second unlimited national championship.
All right, let's go down to the pit area and get a word with the new Gold Cup champion. Right, but it was rough. Okay. I think this bucket I cannot hear. Well, kid, after so many years, finally. Took a long time. It was a hard work of the crew, Mr. Harry Volpe, and all the people who help us, the drivers. It's a great achievement for all of us.
How many times did you try for it, Mira, before you got it?
How should we say, 13 years?
That's right.
It's a long time.
Well, let me offer you the congratulations of a personal friend. We're delighted.
Yes, thank you very much.
He switched to Bill Sterrett's Chrysler crew for 1967 and won the 1967 Seafarer Trophy race. A plane crash in 1968 while trying to fly a motorized glider from Germany to Santa Paula, California, put an end to Mira's racing career and almost cost him his life. With racing behind him, Mira was able to devote the rest of his life to his two biggest passions, flying and crisscrossing the country, to speak about the priceless value of freedom. For his unflinching willingness to stand up for the principles that he believed in, the Hydroplane and Raceboat Museum is proud to recognize the amazing life and fantastic accomplishments of Miroslav J. Slovak.